What's up, guys? My name is SnyperSama, but you can call me Sniper. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have one question, and it is for all of us that play Gunlance. Is wide shelling type with slightly strong power still the meta, or is it normal shelling type with slightly strong power? Well, I am here to say that some of you in the YouTube comments, you guys were right. Normal does a better job now than wide, thanks to Gogma Ardian pieces. Overall, this has been a really nice build, and it's not perfect because I'm still working on some min-maxing and RNG, but this is going to be my showcase for the strongest Gunlance build in Monster Hunter Wilds as of Title Update 4. This is my min-maxed RNG God Roll build, even though I haven't perfected it yet, because I am not always lucky, contrary to popular belief. Okay? To start, we have our Auguring Omen. This is the Gogma Ardian Gunlance, and we have it specifically in the Dragon element. The reason I go Dragon, 1, I'm still farming Gogmazios. 2, Dragon is just really good at dealing with a lot of different types of monsters, meaning if I want to use this build, this weapon specifically, for all of them, I can do so without having to literally change everything based on what monster I'm fighting. Okay, so RNG part 1. You need to have, I clicked the wrong button. You need to have it as a dragon attack focused Ardian weapon. Ideally, you roll with sharpness, attack. Affinity doesn't matter nearly as much on Gunlance, and the reason for it is because every single one of your shelling attacks doesn't have an affinity value. It can't crit, meaning you could be at negative, it's whatever. It will always do the same raw fixed damage, meaning in the case of this, sharpness and 4 attack is better than affinity. I just happen to get the normal roll that I am going for on every other weapon, meaning it's still viable, it still works, and the couple of times that affinity plays a part, it will end up being something that you can take advantage of, but it is not a requirement. The only RNG is, unfortunately, in the active skill. The active skill, Ebony Odogaron's Power mixed with Lord's Soul. The reason for this is because the way the build is engineered, Ebony Odogaron's Power gives you burst boost, which is going to make it to where you do even more damage and you add more raw attack. But on top of that, Lord's Soul is going to give you the additional 5% raw attack. Now, the cool thing about it is that you can still make this build work even without Lord's Soul. It does increase your damage 5%. However, it is not a make or break situation. If you are going for an absolute perfect setup, yes, if you are still just making gear and trying to have good gear, Ebony Odogaron's Power will suffice. Okay, so RNG part 1. RNG part 2, there's a little bit too. Okay, truth be told, anything that comes with attack boost level 3 on it is good enough. My ear itched, I apologize. Anything with attack boost level 3 in the rarity 8 slot is good. Okay, the reason it is good is because attack boost is super vital on Gunlance. Just like I was talking about how affinity doesn't matter for shelling, raw attack it does. Every single one of those shelling attacks are going to do a fixed amount of damage based on what part of the monster is being hit when it's an elemental one. Okay, basically the way this works is the higher your raw attack, the more shelling your damage does. If you have affinity, it's only going to affect the bladed portions of your Gunlance, meaning it's not valuable. 90% of the people that are attacking with Gunlance are not sitting there only stabbing or downward smash the monster. You're just not. You are using your shelling. You're using your Wyvern Fire Blast, your artillery, okay? Meaning, attack boost 3 is the way to go. I have one here that is really well rolled. It's attack boost 3 with burst and 1 offensive deco slot. This is good enough for me. This is still, like I said, part of a min-max that I know will work once I have perfected it, but we can't all be winners, okay? Now, next up, we're going to go ahead and touch on the next RNG part of the build, and that is having all of these transcended. Unfortunately, this takes a lot of supplies, transcending all of it, but it is an absolute requirement. The reason it's a requirement is because they're going to give us all of these level 3 decoration slots. These level 3 decoration slots are only possible once the armor has been transcended, so it is super vital, super important that you transcend them. It's not actually, like, it's indirectly RNG, because you need gems to transcend these. And so if you don't get gems, you're not going to be able to transcend them. So like it's kind of RNG, but it's not as directly correlated. You just need to have these, okay? So that is going to be Guardian Ebony Helm Beta, Ebony Mail Beta, Ebony Braces Beta. Next up is we have the Arch-Tempered Jindahad Shard Coil. The reason we're using this is for bind resistance specifically and agitator. You might be sitting there asking yourself, Sniper, why in the world are you going for bind resistance? And well, the truth behind that is the fact that bind resistance is going to make it to where you recover web status or frostbite very, very quickly. That is because there is an alternative to this build, okay? Alternatively, instead of having Ebony Odogaron's power, you could rock the Jindahad's Revolt, giving you binding counter. But we're not talking about that build. At least in my testing, this one did better. I did have another Gunlance. I already got rid of it because I wasn't paying attention, truth be told. I was just kind of going through clearing old stuff that I hadn't messed with, and oops, there it went. I was like, okay, well, that sucks. Whatever. It happens. Either way, in my testing, Burst Boost is way more valuable on Gunlance than the Jindahad's Revolt is. And the reason for that is because you are not going to get a Power Clash, a Web Status, a Frostbite, or a Pinned as often as you are going to be proccing Burst Boost because of how the shelling works. So, that being said, Bind Resistance is still valuable because, I mean, everybody's still fighting Arch-Tempered Jindahad. It's still a very, very good thing to have. And there's a lot of monsters that have some sort of... Well, I guess there's not a lot of monsters that have a lot of pin. Honestly, it's just a good level 2 to have. You could substitute this here, but we also get to take full advantage of the 3 levels of Agitator and a level 1 slot. So, next up is we have Duna Greaves. Now, the Duna Wild Greaves are specifically here because they have Quick Sheath and Agitator. The thing about Quick Sheath is on Gunlance, it is really, really nice. Gunlance is one of these slower weapons. Because it's so slow, it can lend itself to be a little difficult to maneuver and move around with, okay? So, as far as the decorations go, we'll touch on the weapon ones in just a moment. We have Challenger Jewel and we have Chain Jewel. The reason we are rocking both of those is because with the build that I have, if you are lucky and you have an attack boost burst one, you would have 5 levels of burst. If not, you have 4 levels of burst. It's still good enough. The big thing is the Agitator here. This is just going to be a raw damage increase. Raw damage increase is super, super important. Okay, now, on top of that, I don't know why that pinged. That's fine. On top of that, we have earplugs and we have shockproof. The reason we're rocking earplugs is just like I was talking about in earlier this week's video. Earplugs level 2 is very, very valuable. You get to pretty much nullify everything that is everything you're going to be fighting. There's only a couple of monsters that actually end up needing earplugs level 3, meaning you're able to just get away with level 2 as long as you are not fighting something like Gogmazios only like me, okay? So, next up, shockproof. This is just to make sure you don't have to, nobody's hitting you, you're not hitting anybody, especially because it's really, really fun on Gunlance to just sit there and charge up your Wyvern Fire Blast and like blast your friends, but it's really annoying when other people do it to you. I like to cause havoc and mayhem for my buddies. I don't like when it's done to me, though. No. We have the Growth Jewel. The Growth Jewel is just because some of these fights take a little longer, meaning you can take full advantage of self-improvement, just get a little more raw attack, a little more defense. Then we have Protection Jewels and 1 Attack Jewel. The Protection Jewels are to just give us Divine Blessing. Super, super nice skill to have. And because we already had 1 level of it, why not make sure to finish it out and take full advantage of the effect? Last but not least is we have Flare. Flare is very, very, very good. Not only is it going to make it easier to inflict wounds, especially because it is going to be the level 3 variant, but it's also going to do a solid amount of damage on top of our shelling. Now, all of the shelling attacks are not going to be taking full advantage of Flare. However, your Wyvern Spike, the one that sits there and is like the little drill, that can proc it. On top of that, all of your regular attacks can also proc Flare. The only ones that aren't going to be doing it are shelling and Wyvern Fire Artillery. However, it is still going to increase the output of damage you have, because you're going to create wounds easier, and you're going to be able to just randomly proc non-elemental additional damage, okay? Last but not least is we have our weapon decos. These are very, very, very specific, okay? The reason they are so specific is because if you have the charm that I have, and you have it set up the way I do, you have attack boost, level 5, offensive guard, level 3, artillery 3, and load shells, all of which are very, very valuable on Gunlance. The reason being, attack boost is just going to increase the raw damage that we do. Load shells is going to give us an additional file, or additional capacity, an additional shell, okay? Super, super valuable, and is going to make it even faster to reload. Last but not least is we have artillery and offensive guard. Artillery is going to make it to where our Wyvern Fire charges up so much faster, and it's just going to increase the raw amount of damage that our shelling attacks do. And offensive guard, if you play Gunlance or any shielded weapon, you know how good it can be. You hit that perfect guard, and now you have an additional plus 15% raw attack. The reason we have that set up like this is because load shells pairs very, very well with attack, meaning it gives us a good combo decoration. Artillery doesn't really combo with anything, which is why it's by itself, but especially if you're using this in a dragon element like I am, Guardian Dragon Jewel lets us have a little more element attached to our weapon, and we get full advantage of offensive guard, okay? Overall, this build is a lot of fun. This build does a ton of damage and is very, very easy to make use of. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and showcase real quick. This is the updated normal setup, okay? We have 294, 15% affinity, 480 raw, and this is literally just with Agitator active. If we were to go ahead and start fighting, what I'll do, I won't even go into offensive guard. We'll just do a full combo, because I know everybody is curious about whether normal is better than wide. This is one full multi-wyvern stick. 22, 22, 25. Okay, so 2,225. If we were to come over here, and I was to just swap my Gunlance for the other one that I created with an attack jewel, a magazine, or better yet, let's do this. Is the exact same setup. Guardian Iron Wall, because it is paralysis, the element doesn't matter. Magazine attack and artillery. So we hit 22, 25. If I were to come over here and do the exact same thing, we see there's a flare proc there, so there's a 200 damage on top added to this setup, okay? Flare procced in this with an additional 200, and we still did 300 damage less. The difference between wide shelling and normal shelling is absolutely insane. It is so much more value coming from normal shelling, because on top of that, you are able to use all of your shelling to move closer to the monster, to charge your Wyvern Fire back up, okay? Overall, this build is a ton of fun. It does a ton of damage. The only thing that you are letting yourself have less damage on is the Wyvern Fire artillery. But because of how much damage you naturally do with your normal combo, it doesn't matter. You're able to do so much damage that it's insane. I mean, you can see here, no wound break, no flare, 2,078 damage. Okay, that's still 300 more, and our Wyvern Fire artillery is already halfway back, thanks to the fact that we have more shelling to go through, because you can also charge your shelling and fully recover your Wyvern Fire artillery. We have 310 attack, 620 element, and so many monsters to absolutely decimate with this build. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for my updated title update for Meta RNG Gunlance build. That is going to do it for today's video. Thank you all for coming and watching. Thank you all for hanging out. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys are interested in seeing me in a more live streaming capacity where you guys can talk and get to know me, let it be known that I stream most nights over on Twitch at twitch.tv/SnyperSama. I'll see all of you in the next one. Farewell.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.